Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you're listening to this. It's morning for me when I'm recording this, and I am in my car. This is Somer Lowery, on fire for change. Carcasting live. Well, no, just this will be a recording. It's live for me again. Anyway, so I wanted to get into what is carcasting and how that came about. And so, as you can probably guess, carcasting is recording a podcast from my car. And how did I end up doing that? Well, I'm a mom. I'm a single mom. I work full time, and I also own a business, and I have all of these things that want to, that want to unfold, that want to be birthed. I get these creative ideas all the time, constantly, and then it's like where to fit them into my life has been the constant challenge, pretty much ever since I started working, in the workforce, in like full-time real job. And, for a while I was telling myself a story that I wasn't creative, that I'm not I'm just not someone who follows through on projects, things like that. I did that a lot. And then what I realized is, no, I follow through a lot. I execute on a lot of creative ideas. I just do them at work. And it was getting to the point where it was like, just recognizing like, oh, I'm not someone. So to be accurate, it would be, I don't follow through on my own dreams and ideas. But I'll follow through on, other people's, right? Because that's, essentially what you're doing. If you're working at a job and you're really good at a job, you are, you're using your gifts to execute someone else's vision, dream, what have you. And, which is fine. But I think, for me, what I was starting to do was, because I was either so exhausted after work or, I think there were a lot of ways in my life where I was wasting a lot of energy. The interesting thing is I'm probably busier now than I was, when I was in like my early 30s, even though, my son was small, so that was a different set of challenges than now that he's 13. But I wasted a lot of energy, and I wasted a lot of time buying into old stories, or just, kind of living in old patterns, things like that. And then once I started, kind of getting my energy back as a person, like calling my own energy back to me, healing old wounds, getting a handle on my monkey mind, not that it still doesn't, run amok. But, just getting more of those things cleaned up, right? Like getting some of those little messes cleaned up. And I have more energy now, even though you could say there's more like responsibility on my plate, or there's more maybe stuff on my calendar, but I handle it totally differently. And so carcasting, basically, I had the idea, I wanted to do a podcast that's been coming through for a long time. And then I've just been getting stuck in that place that one can get stuck in, where, I was telling myself, well, you got to have a really clear idea, and you probably need to make an outline, and then you got to do a timeline, like implementing all of these distractors, or feeling like, I needed to create some sort of a system you know, like the work before the work kind of thing. And it's so interesting because Kyle Cease had a talk. I don't remember the title of it, but he was basically talking about this, you know, major breakthrough that he had, where he was crying. He was having an awakening, a release, and he wanted to avoid the mundane in search of like the big things. And he talked about his dad and how, you know, that was a pattern, like you had to do big things. And he talked about, and I'm totally paraphrasing, but he talked about how his daughter had, you know, left out a mess of some game pieces, some board games, things like that. And how he was like, he was picking up the board games and he was just sobbing, and he kept getting this message to like stay with the mundane tasks, because there was healing there for him. And I thought it was so fascinating because, you know, I could listen to that and go, oh, stay with the mundane. And then my higher self goes, no, bitch, that's not for you. That's for him. Yours is something else. You need to get out of the mundane. You've been in the mundane. You've been doing too much mundane. You are so distracted by the mundane that you never do any of the big stuff. So stop. So that was my higher self talking. She gets a little, she's fierce. And yeah, so it was interesting to me. And I talked to a couple of other women and I was like, you know, do you think this is a little bit of like a male-female thing? Like, you know, because I think as men, it seems that the conditioning is very much like, you know, your worth is tied into, did you do something big in your life? You know, did you build a legacy? Did you, you know, whatever, did you go big or go home? Like everything is like about big. Size matters, you know? And with women, I think we are very much conditioned to the, you know, well, I have to take care of all of these things, because if I don't, nobody else is going to do it. If I don't, you know, make dinner, do the laundry, you know, put the things away, like organize, do the spring cleaning. Like if I don't, then nobody will. So that's a story. And then also the idea that our worth is very much like historically tied to the home and the children, and you know, how well you maintain that space, and you know, and how well the children turn out, and how they appear and how they behave, and all of those things. And so it was interesting listening to that talk, and like recognizing like, wait, he's listening to his higher voice, his higher guidance. And I think the lesson is like, you have to get in and listen to you have to get in there and listen to your higher guidance. You have to create the space for that. And then you have to, you know, really follow those nudges, because my tendency is definitely to, you know, when I have a big idea, I get very excited, a little bit overwhelmed, even. And so I look for what I can control, rather than just diving in, knowing that, okay, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to get started, and then we'll go from there. There's like the, well, it's, you don't know everything yet, and it's not going to be perfect yet. So go and, you know, clean your desk and put the dishes away, and, you know, the bathroom sink is dirty. Like, you know, then I'll literally start just noticing every little thing. And then, you know, with the idea that like, oh, everything's going to come together and I'm going to do all of these things and then I'll get started. Well, then of course you do all of those mundane things. And now, you know, I mean, for me at least, I'm like, yeah, now I'm ready to like kick back, put my feet up and have a glass of wine, not start, you know, my next big creative project. And so, you know, with with these urges that I've been getting to just, and just listening to the impulse that says, just start anywhere, just let it be, just let it flow. And as I was, starting to get the false self coming in and telling me it needed to be a certain way, or that I needed to quote unquote carve out time to do my podcast, that I needed to, put it on the calendar or, whatever, otherwise it wasn't going to happen. And then it just hit me like light bulb moment. You have a 15-minute drive to work. Just record something into your phone and, and that's it. You have a 15-minute something, that people can listen to on their way to work, or they can listen to, whenever. And so these are probably going to be pretty raw. I don't, I kind of want to just see what comes out and not worry about doing a whole lot of, editing or, fixing, just kind of allowing the flow. And I'm sure at some point, doing longer podcasts is in the cards where, things will be more fleshed out and I'll talk about them with people and things like that. But for now, it's a Carcast, and these will probably be anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes long. Today, I am pulling up to my work right now at about the 12-minute mark. And so as long as it takes me to get here, or, I guess if I'm going somewhere else and I'm recording, then it might be longer or shorter depending. But this is a good time in the morning on the way. And so I'm just getting it in. There was, I'm going to misquote who said it. I want to say it might have been Toni Morrison, the writer who said that, she wrote her books in the cracks of the day, because she was a mom, and she, you're a woman in the world, you got shit to do. And you got people depending on you. And it's very difficult to get away from that if you're a woman. I don't know too many women who don't carry a fair amount of responsibility, no matter what their job is, no matter what their, birth order is, all of those things. And so, yeah, I think it was Toni Morrison. If not, I'll find out and I'll correct it in a later episode. But building it in the cracks of the day, writing your book in the cracks of the day, recording your podcast or Carcast in the cracks of the day, just finding those little moments and allowing everything else to wait, like making your dreams, your ideas, your voice a priority, no matter what that looks like. And I think that's really kind of the idea behind Carcasting. So here we are, and I'm at work. I'm going to go head into the building. Love you all. Have a beautiful day. And remember that your liberation is within you. I love you.